What is going on, Headliner Nation? Welcome back to your weekly lottery ticket show. Now, last week, we took Thanksgiving off to be with our families, but as a recap, after our week 12 show, we are 60 of our last 84 picks in this show that have hit. That is 71% on player pickems over the last 10 shows. Now, like usual in the show here today, I'm going to be talking about 6 different players. You can then take any 3 of these plays and include them together in a player pick'em ticket that you will have a chance of at least doubling your money on Underdog. Which means before we dive into the players here in today's show, I need to be sure that you're all signed up and ready to go on Underdog so you can follow along with us. All you need to do is head over to Underdog Fantasy or download the app, create a new account using the referral code Headliners when you do so. After that, all you need to do is make your minimum $10 deposit. But it gets even better. Once you take some of the plays from today's show and make a $5 entry, Underdog is automatically going to put $100 in bonus funds directly into your account. You'll then have $100 in bonus funds, which is basically like free money, to have fun with us over the last few weeks of the NFL season. And then any money that you win is money that goes directly into your pocket. I mean, come on, it's an absolute no-brainer. But all right, enough of that. Let's go ahead and dive into the players we're going to be taking a look at here in week 14. And the first player up is Jakobi Meyers, wide receiver of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he joined Jacksonville 4 weeks ago. And in just 4 weeks, he's already had 21 targets, 18 receptions, 245 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He has quickly turned him to one of the top targets of Trevor Lawrence, and he actually played over 90% of the snaps just last week. But we also know that Parker Washington is dealing with a hip injury and could miss week 14. We also know that Bryant Jr. hasn't done much of anything all season long. This is a must-win game for both teams. They're tied for the division lead, and this late in the season, you really don't want to fall behind, which takes us to the actual matchup this week against Indianapolis. The Colts already allow the 9th most fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers, and now they're going to have to do it without Sauce Gardner in the secondary. The Colts will be much tougher to run on, and it's not like the Jags' run game has been racking up a ton of yards lately anyway. So, let's head over to Underdog and try to take advantage of this. If you pull up Jakobi Meyers, you'll see his current receiving yard total is set to 51.5 yards. Now, he has only hit that total in 2 of his 4 games in Jacksonville. So, let's boost our odds and drop the line down a little bit. We're going to take that total and drop it down to 39.5 yards at a 0.73x multiplier and take the higher. It will lower the overall payout, but really increase our chances of hitting. Because by lowering it down, it now becomes a total he has hit in all 4 games he's been in Jacksonville. He's averaging 6 targets and 40 air yards a game. So in order for this to hit, he needs to be right around 4 receptions, a number that he has hit in 3 straight games as a Jacksonville Jaguar. Next is Chris Rodriguez of the Washington Commanders, and a few weeks ago the writing was on the wall for Chris Rodriguez to take over as the leader in the Washington backfield. He's running with confidence, and he's the team's leading rusher over the last month of the season. He's also had 11 plus rush attempts and a touchdown in 3 of his last 4. Now sure, there's still going to be a minor split here with JCM and Jeremy McNichols, but last week they had less carries combined than what Chris Rodriguez had himself. Now he comes into week 14 against a Minnesota team who has allowed 125 plus rushing yards in 5 of their last 6 games. Minnesota is a much better pass defense, and they will have their hands full with Terry, Debo, and Zach Ertz. Over the first 14 weeks, Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker, Emmanuel Wilson, DeAndre Swift twice, Derrick Henry, Kamani Vidal, Quinshon Judkins, Kenneth Gainwell, Tyler Algier, and Bijan Robinson have all ran for at least 50 yards against this defense. So, let's head over to Underdog and take advantage of this as well. If you pull up Chris Rodriguez, you're going to see his current rushing yard total is set to just 39.5 yards. Now, he has hit that total in 3 of his last 4 games, so it's possible for sure that he hits it once again this week, but he's been pretty close to that line. So let's better our odds here and take that 39.5 total and drop it down to 29.5 at a 0.71x multiplier and take the higher. Now, it's still a number he's hit in 3 of his last 4, but it's also one that he has cleared fairly easily. Even if he was to just get 11 carries, like last week, he would only need to average 2.7 yards per carry in order to get to 30 total rushing yards and for this bet to cash. Over the last month, he's averaging 4.3 yards per carry and has faced much better run defenses than that of Minnesota. Teams like Denver, Detroit, and Seattle were no easy road over the last month of the season. Next up is Juwan Johnson, tight end of the New Orleans Saints, and when you're looking at tight ends, you just gotta find the guys who are getting consistent targets. Well, Johnson is currently 6th among all NFL tight ends in targets. It also helps to find a team that is trailing consistently and having to throw early and often. That is the Saints. They have only won 2 games all season long, and they've been outscored by their opponents by 113 points on the season. It also helps that this offense has minimal weapons, and Chris Olave has been struggling with minor injuries as well. That brings us to the matchup this week against Tampa Bay. They actually faced off against each other just a few weeks ago. In that game, Juwan Johnson had 5 catches for 53 yards. Tight ends like Trey McBride, Colby Parkinson, Jake Tonjes, AJ Barner, and Kyle Pitts have also all gone for at least 40 yards against the Tampa Bay defense. So once again, let's head over to Underdog and take advantage of this. Now, if you pull up Juwan Johnson, you're going to see that his current receiving yard total is set to 41.5 yards. That's a total he has hit in 4 of his last 6 games, so for sure, doable. But once again, we want to better our odds because he's been close to that line numerous times. So we're going to take it and drop it down to 29.5 receiving yards at a 0.70x multiplier and take the higher. Now, by dropping it down to 29.5, it becomes a total he has hit in 6 straight games. On the season, he's averaging 4 catches for 48 yards a game, and given the fact that this average is just over 10 yards a catch, means we only need 4 catches this week for this pick to cash. Now, luckily, he's had at least 4 catches in 5 of his last 6 games, including his last game against Tampa Bay. Now I move over to Alec Pierce, wide receiver of the Indianapolis Colts, and if you watch me regularly, you know that over the last few weeks, I have talked a lot about how Alec Pierce is pretty big play dependent, but I've also said that he's one of the best 50-50 deep ball guys in the NFL. He ranks top 10 among all NFL wide receivers in deep targets, air yards, and yards per reception. He's averaging a whopping 20.9 yards per reception, and over the last 7 games, he has had a catch of at least 22 yards in all of them. It's not a fluke if it happens consistently. So let's head over to Underdog and take advantage of him as well. If you pull up Alec Pierce, you're going to see his current long reception line is set to 25.5 yards. Now that is something he has been able to hit in 8 out of his 10 games played this season. So he could for sure do it again, but once again, let's better our odds. I'm going to take that line and drop it down to 19.5 yards at a 0.70x multiplier and take the higher. Now, by dropping it down to 19.5, it becomes a total he's hit in 9 of his 10 games this year. The Jags are much easier to throw on than run on, and with how Indianapolis can score points, this could turn into a back and forth contest quickly. Really hoping for a wide receiver who averages over 20 yards a catch to get a catch of at least 20 yards isn't some big ask here. Now, this may not be the easiest play here to hit in this show, but it has a super high likelihood of hitting as well. Next is wide receiver Pat Bryant of the Denver Broncos, and over the last 5 weeks, we have seen more and more Pat Bryant in the Denver offense, especially over the last 2 weeks where he has a total of 13 targets. He's taken those 13 targets and turning into 8 catches for 124 yards. He isn't some check down option either. He's had a catch of at least 20 yards or more in 4 of his last 5 games played, including a big 43-yard catch 3 games ago against, yes, this Vegas defense that he's facing this week. So let's take this information and head over to Underdog, and when you do that and pull up Pat Bryant, you're going to see his current receiving yard total is set to 29.5 yards. That's a total he has hit in 4 of his last 5 games, so for sure he could do it again. But if we want to better our odds, we can take that 29.5 yards and drop it down to 19.5 yards at a 0.78x multiplier and take the higher. Now, by dropping it down to 19.5, it becomes a total he's hit in 5 straight. The part I love the most, though, is the fact that he's had those catches of 20 yards or more in 4 of his last 5 games. If he gets just 1 of those this week, this pick cashes and becomes easy money. Now, after him is Chris Godwin of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and obviously Chris Godwin hasn't done much of anything all year long. But last week we saw a huge jump in usage, and that's something to pay attention to. Godwin played in 66% of the offensive snaps in week 14, compared to only 36% of the snaps in week 13. Now, on top of that, we saw him go deeper down the field for the first time all year last week as well. Now, Mike Evans is nearing nearing a return, but this is a must-win game for Tampa Bay. They are currently tied in the division with Carolina, and they won't get an easier matchup than the Saints, who are only just a 2-win team. Now, Tampa is a heavy favorite, but Vegas has this game over 41 total points. Tampa will want to come out fast, try to get a lead early, and then lean on their running game late. So let's head over to Underdog and try to take advantage of Chris Godwin. If you go to Chris Godwin and pull up his receiving yard total, you'll see it set at 40.5 yards as of right now. Now, he hit that total last week, but that was the first time all season. So you better believe we want to better our chances and drop it down to 29.5 yards at a 0.72x multiplier and take the higher. Now, it's still a total he's only hit once on the year, but he's also been right on that line in his other 2 games earlier in the season. There's not a lot of 2025 history to back this one up. More of an analysis of last week and where it could go in a game that they need to win. Not a bad idea to lean on a veteran wide receiver in a must-win game. If he can get 4 receptions, this pick should cash. All right, so there you have 6 picks for week 14. Like I mentioned earlier, any combination of 3 of these picks will give you a chance of at least doubling your money. But yes, like I normally do, let's try to have a little bit of fun and hit a touchdown ticket. Now, these tickets have hit multiple times this year and had some pretty good payouts. Now, in this week's show, I'm sticking to the running back position. And give me guys like James Cook against Cincinnati, Devon Achane against the Jets, and Bucky Irving against the Saints. All of them to score an anytime touchdown, and if they can do it, we should be able to at least triple our money, so fingers crossed. But all right, there you have it. Another week and another 9 picks total. Now, if this was enough to get you all hot and bothered on the inside, be sure to become a member of the channel by hitting the join button just below the video. Because members of Full and Excessive Chubb get access to our Discord, where they get even more picks that we talk about and drop all week long. Plus, by becoming a channel member, you get a massive discount to NextPlay. They drop more plays than what I do, and it's not like these other sites who charge hundreds of dollars a month. No, you can get into NextPlay for less than a fast food meal a month. They have super high hit rates and plays for all the different books and sites. Now, links to everything are down below in the description, so be sure to check it out. Now, we wish you all nothing but the best here in week 14, and we're hoping for a ton of green screens this weekend.